All right, class, settle in. Today, we're going to go on a pretty wild microscopic tour to explore the very foundation of all living things, the cell. We're going to break down the building blocks of life itself. So, let's kick things off with a huge question. Think about everything alive, a tiny little bacterium, a giant redwood tree, even you. What's the one thing they all have in common?
You got it. It's the cell. And this is so important. Everything an organism does, whether it's moving, growing, even just thinking, it all starts right here at the cellular level. That's exactly why we call them the building blocks of life.
Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the blueprint, check out the outer border, then we'll sneak inside the cell city, visit the control center, and wrap up with how cells make more of themselves. Ready? Let's go. All right, first up, the blueprint of life. So how in the world did we figure any of this out? I mean, you can't just see this stuff. It's a whole invisible world living right inside of us.
Well, it didn't happen overnight, that's for sure. It was this slow, amazing puzzle being put together over centuries. You had Robert Hooke in the 1600s just looking at a piece of cork, and he sees these little boxy things he calls cells. Then Leeuwenhoek comes along and, get this, he sees living cells, like bacteria wiggling around. And piece by piece, like Robert Brown finding the nucleus, the picture got clearer and clearer. And eventually, all these discoveries led to what we call the cell theory. Now, this is basically the rule book for all of biology. It's super fundamental. 3 simple rules. 1, if it's alive, it's made of cells. 2, the cell is the most basic unit of life you can get. And 3, you can't just magic a new cell into existence. They have to come from other cells.
Okay, so now we know the rules, but not all cells follow the exact same design. Think of it like this. You've got 2 main blueprints. On one hand, you have the simple, kind of studio apartment version, the prokaryotic cell. Think bacteria. Then you've got the big, complex mansion with lots of rooms, the eukaryotic cell. That's what you, me, plants, and animals are made of. The biggest difference? Eukaryotic cells have a special room, the nucleus, to keep their DNAs safe and sound.
Okay, let's start our tour of this cell city. And just like any secure place, we can't just waltz in. We have to get past the border patrol first.
For every single cell, that border is the plasma membrane. Now, don't think of it as a brick wall. It's more like a super smart bouncer at an exclusive club. It is selectively permeable, that's the key term, which means it's incredibly picky about who and what it lets in and out. Super important job.
So how does this bouncer, this membrane, control traffic? Well, it uses a couple of key physical processes. You've got diffusion, which is just stuff spreading out, from where there's a lot of it to where there's less. But then you have osmosis, and pay close attention here. Osmosis is specifically the movement of water across that selective membrane. Without the membrane, you don't have osmosis. It's the critical piece of the puzzle.
And this whole osmosis thing has huge consequences for the cell. You put a cell in a solution, and depending on whether there's more water outside or inside, that cell can swell up, maybe even pop, or it can shrivel up like a raisin. Or, if things are just right, it can stay perfectly happy. This balance is literally a matter of life and death for the cell.
Now, if you're a plant cell, you've got an upgrade. You've got an extra layer of security and support, a rigid cell wall right outside the plasma membrane. It's made of cellulose, that's the tough, fibrous stuff. This wall is what gives plants their structure, and really importantly, it stops the cell from bursting when it fills up with water. It's like a natural pressure suit.
All right, we're past security. Let's get inside and see what's going on in this bustling metropolis. We're going to check out all the specialized little structures, the organelles, that do all the work.
First stop, the city's main manufacturing plant, the endoplasmic reticulum, or ER for short. It comes in 2 models. You've got the rough ER, which looks bumpy because it's covered in these things called ribosomes. Those are the protein-making machines. Then you've got the smooth ER, which handles making fats and lipids and also works as the city's detox center.
So once the ER factory makes all these proteins and lipids, they're not quite ready for prime time. They get shipped over to the Golgi apparatus. This is the city's main post office and packaging center. It takes the raw products, modifies them, sorts them, and packages them up in little bubbles called vesicles to be sent to their final destination. It's all about logistics.
Okay, every city produces trash, right? Well, the cell's sanitation department is the lysosome. These are basically little bags of powerful digestive enzymes. Their job is to break down old, worn-out parts and any junk that gets in. But here's the crazy part. They're called suicide bags for a reason. If the cell gets too damaged, the lysosomes can burst open and, well, digest the whole cell from the inside. It's a self-destruct mechanism.
And now, the powerhouse. The mitochondria are the power plants of our cell city. This is where the magic happens. They take food molecules and convert them into ATP, which is the universal energy currency for pretty much everything the cell does. It's pure energy. That's why cells that do a ton of work, like your muscle cells, are absolutely jam-packed with mitochondria.
All right, let's talk about something special you'll only find in plant cells. These are organelles called plastids. The one you've probably heard of is the chloroplast. It's green because it's full of chlorophyll, and it's the solar power plant. This is where photosynthesis happens, turning sunlight into energy. But there are other types too, like ones that give flowers and fruits their bright colors, or others that just store food.
Okay, we've seen the factories, the post office, the power plants. Now it's time to visit the most important building in the entire city. We're going to City Hall, the main control center, the nucleus.
So the nucleus is a fortress. It's got a double-layered membrane protecting the most valuable thing in the whole city, the chromosomes. And what are chromosomes? They're tightly coiled strands of DNA. And that DNA contains the master blueprints, the genes, for absolutely everything. It tells the cell how to build itself, how to function. It is the ultimate boss, calling all the shots.
So, one city is amazing, but what happens when you need to grow or repair things? How do you make new cities? The answer is an incredible, highly choreographed dance called cell division.
And cells have two main ways of doing this. First, you've got mitosis. Think of this as cloning. It's for growth and repair. One cell divides into two identical daughter cells. Simple. But then there's meiosis. This one is special. This is for sexual reproduction. It takes one cell and makes 4 genetically different cells, each with only half the DNA. These are the gametes, like sperm and eggs, ready to combine and make a whole new organism.
Okay, class, before we wrap up, here's a really important takeaway for your notes. A great way to organize your thinking about these organelles is by their membranes. Some of the big players, the nucleus, mitochondria, plastids, they have a double membrane. A whole bunch of others have just a single one. And then you have the little ribosome, the protein factory, with no membrane at all. Remembering this will really help you keep them all straight.
So we've toured this incredible microscopic city. What's the big idea? What should you take away from all this? Maybe a little inspiration from our friend the mitochondrion. It works tirelessly to power everything. So be the powerhouse of your life. But seriously, the real takeaway is that all the complexity of life, everything you see, is built on these tiny, organized, cooperative little units. It's absolutely amazing. All right, class dismissed?